NATO defence ministers and military officials from around the world are meeting today in Germany, focused on the defence of Ukraine. At the Ramstein airbase, US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin renewed US commitment to the Ukraine Defence Contact Group. The pact aims to deliver critical military aid to sustain Ukrainian forces for the long term. Among the issues to be tackled at Ramstein are the training of Ukrainian troops and the challenges of producing and restocking ammunition for Western weapons systems used by Ukrainian forces. Here's some of what Austin had to say.
And ladies and gentlemen, the face of the war is changing, and so is the mission of this contact group. We will work together to train Ukraine's forces for the long haul. We will work together to help integrate Ukraine's capabilities and bolster its joint operations for the long haul. We'll work together to upgrade our defense industrial bases to meet Ukraine's requirements for the long haul. And we'll work together for production and innovation to meet Ukraine's self-defense needs for the long haul.
Standing by for us at Ramstein Air Base is our correspondent Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. Ben, we heard Lloyd Austin there repeatedly stressing the need to support Ukraine for the long haul. And what does that tell us about how the war is progressing?
What it's showing us is that they need to change the strategy. They say that's also what Austin said during his opening remarks. As the war evolves, we need to evolve as well. The mission of this group that was created here in April, so a few months ago, is to have a joint support for Ukraine, to coordinate the military help that they will give. We have this big package that was again announced by the US. We also saw a list of what Ukraine is demanding of more heavy artillery to go away from Soviet weapons to more Western weapons, and to see if this broad coalition that wants to show that they are still supporting Ukraine and they are still preparing Ukraine, especially for the winter months. As for example, NATO has announced that it will help with winter equipment for the soldiers, for Ukrainian soldiers. The conversations are still ongoing. We're expecting a press conference to hear on what they will do to keep supporting Ukraine, defending itself against Russia.
Now, Ukraine's Prime Minister, just the latest to call on Germany to supply Ukraine with modern Leopard 2 battle tanks. Chancellor Scholz not so keen. How likely is it, do you think, that Germany will approve that?
And not just that he is not keen, Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht is also not keen. They just gave a small press statement, Christine Lambrecht with her Dutch counterpart, but they spoke about what Germany can do going into demining, so helping Ukrainian forces demine broad areas in Ukraine. She was asked on this heavy artillery, on Leopard tanks that have been also in debates for several weeks now. Let's remember that it was a pretty long turn, and it was exactly here at this airbase in Germany where Germany's Defense Minister Lambrecht announced the first sending of heavy artillery. But for now, there are no discussions on if there could be any broader heavy artillery like Marder or, for example, these anti-tank systems that Germany could also send. But it's saying that it will not take this decision alone, and it will coordinate it with allies and with friends, at a sentence that German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has repeated for several times.
All right, Ben, thanks very much for that. DW correspondent Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made an unannounced visit to Kyiv to meet with senior Ukrainian officials. The trip comes as Washington approved $2 billion in military aid for Ukraine and its neighbours facing the threat of Russian aggression. This new assistance adds to the $675 million package for Ukraine that Defense Secretary Austin announced earlier.